South China Morning Post, 20th of February 2023, as conflict becomes the new normal, the world becomes dangerous. China has attempted to topple the United States as part of its 100-year war strategy. The entire planet is tense. The Balloongate incident between China and the United States is merely the tip of the iceberg. Alongside this, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for his nation to acquire fighter aircraft, South Korea is looking into managing nuclear weapons, and Israel has launched a new attack on an Iranian weapons facility that is allegedly making drones for Russia. Destabilizing geopolitical areas that have caused problems for the world as a whole for decades. The path the world is heading in is dangerous. A hotspot could erupt into a hot conflict at any time. However, another war would irreparably split the world apart and eliminate all prospects for lasting peace and security. The causes of much of what is occurring are two. First, tensions escalating elsewhere are going unnoticed because Russia's invasion of Ukraine has the world's focus. The international community is doing little to calm the seas. Second, and perhaps more significantly, the consequences of the conflict in Ukraine have spread and are impacting international affairs. Nations are initially evaluating the US's capacity to keep the globe united. It's no accident that Iran's president visited China weeks before President Xi Jinping is anticipated to travel to Russia, or North Korea sent drones across its southern frontier for the first time since 2017 at the end of 2022. All of this is taking place as the US invests significant resources in Ukraine, and some nations see chances because they think the US is not paying attention. Then there is the mounting economic strain, potentially driving some people insane. A number plate legislation is believed to cause recent tensions between Serbia and Kosovo. The conflict became more likely after a police officer in northern Kosovo was attacked by an ethnic Serb and taken into custody. The new normal seems aggressive behavior as regular people struggle with shifting economic circumstances. Along with this, diplomacy is being abandoned by the globe. It's becoming common knowledge that geopolitical tensions cannot be reduced through accords or agreements, nor can they be frozen, as might be the case with a ceasefire. Nobody wishes to continue putting off solving the problem. Everyone is prepared to strike one another. The normalization of conflict makes up a significant portion of this new paradigm. Few nations wish to risk a war before Russia invaded Ukraine because of the potential for economic sanctions and isolation on a global scale. But as the conflict continues, people's perspectives on it are beginning to shift. On some level, the status quo of conflict has been made tolerable. More wars might ensue if this trend is not slowed down or fully reversed. If this occurs, the world will enter uncharted territory because the pillars we rely on will be destroyed. The US is one of the principal possible sources of this chaos. The US might be forced to battle wars on several fronts at once if there is another war, particularly one involving a US ally. Washington will not be regarded as a military powerhouse if it is unable or unwilling to do this. This may make US allies from Europe to Asia question Washington's ability to defend them successfully. If the US cannot fight a war on multiple fronts, it must concentrate on just one, leaving some regions in the cold. The fragmentation of the world economy is another possible factor in chaos. The redesign of trade and supply chains and vertical globalization will be accelerated by another conflict, upending established financial norms and creating new barriers between nations. This won't just happen right away or between enemies either. Even close friends may experience a decline in relations if specific crucial resources, like lithium, are depleted or if particular rules are broken. The degrading state of international law is also significant. The World Trade Organization and the United Nations will be affected by a crisis brought on by another conflict. If a new brawl breaks out, these organizations' influence and role will be questioned, and some countries may decide to stop participating entirely. The aftermath of the war in Ukraine is still being felt. If another war breaks out, it might worsen the current crisis or even cause brand new ones that no one has anticipated and cannot plan for. In contrast to other nations bordering on possible flashpoints like South Korea or Saudi Arabia, Ukraine does not have a significant economy. Conflict erupting in another hotspot, whether it includes semiconductors or information technology, could cause harm to the global economy that was not seen during the war in Ukraine. The world has reached a time when more extreme geopolitical events occur daily. In the global arena, activity is accelerating rather than slowing down. Before another conflict starts, there is still time for the world to pause and step back. Should nations like Japan and South Korea possess nuclear weapons? The clock is ticking, and ominous clouds are forming. Conflict flare-ups are growing worse as the war drums continue to beat. War once passed from generation to generation, but it rapidly evolved into a card that governments appear willing to play, even before diplomacy. A new, risky status quo has emerged. Is the globe prepared for the future?